Ever wonder what happens when Earth ran out of nitrogen? As you are aware of, the air composition, 78% of the air is made of nitrogen. So if you remove nitrogen from the air, what will happen is that there will be a huge change in atmospheric pressure. So that can actually cause us to have difficulties in breathing. You may be wondering, why is that the case? Even though we are dependent on oxygen and not nitrogen, but because there's a huge quantity of the air molecules is made of nitrogen, if you just remove that, that has to be filled up with some. There's a huge gap, and it has to be filled up with something else. If it is not being filled up with something else, there will be huge change in that atmospheric pressure. Number two, when it comes to plants, as you may be aware of as well, that plants go through the nitrogen cycle. So they are dependent on bacteria in order for them to convert nitrogen into any nitrogen-based substance or molecules that they can absorb into plants. So without nitrogen, the plant is not able to build, let's say, proteins, or even if you talk about the DNA RNA of plants or the DNA RNA of organisms in general are made of nitrogen. So that shows the significance of nitrogen itself. And the third part is that if there's no nitrogen, which means that there's no fertilizer. So as you may be aware as well, a lot of agricultural activities are dependent on nitrogen. So in a way, it is not very good not to have nitrogen, because your plants, they can't grow as well without nitrogen. Of course, you could argue and say that they can depend on other type of materials. So in simple notes, when we are talking about nitrogen itself, is sometimes for us to really think about what happened. What if this actually happened? And there's also a reason for us to think about why, if you look at planet Earth right now, the composition that we have is the reason why there's living organisms. As you may be aware, till today, in our solar system, we are the only living organism. We are the only living planet. So Earth is the only living planet. And it's very amazing to see the reason for that. And that's when scientists are making comparison between different planets, they always look at what is the atmospheric composition. It's always very interesting to see that the different kind of composition, air composition that we have on planet Earth, and that's the reason why they are living beings.